Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Basketball Sports Network. Mark, we got a lot to talk about today. Like, a lot to talk about today.
Like a ton.
Because I'm sensing a turn in some WWE programming in the fact that it's been pretty good lately. And
So a turn for the better.
a turn for the better, yeah.
Okay.
I know we like to make fun and just really get on them when it's bad, but I think we have to give them their due when it's good too. So
Because they make it really easy for us. That's why.
they do. So we're gonna get into everything: the good, the bad, the best, the worst. But I want to start off a little bit different today.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pose a question to you, and I guess our viewers as well. And if you guys want to comment in the comment section who you think the answer to this question is, it's not like a fact question. It's more of an opinion question. So I'm just curious what everyone has to say. But I'm gonna ask you two questions, and then at the end of the show, I want you to take the whole show to think about it. And then at the end of the show, we'll go over it. So my two questions to you are they're both kind of the same question, but you'll hear why they're different. So I want you to give me your most underrated WWE superstar of all time and your most underrated superstar currently on the roster today. So obviously I thought of the questions, but I tried not to think about it to give us sort of like an even playing field. Like I didn't want it to be like too, like me already have my answer prepared. So I'm going to start thinking, you start thinking, and then at the end of the show, we're going to answer those questions, all right?
All right. So just for context, do you mean underutilized or underrated?
Underrated. Like a guy that is good, but fans will be like, okay, yeah, he's okay. But, but it's like, no, he's actually really good, or she's actually really good.
Okay.
Could be male or female, any error. I have a hard time believing you're going to head back to the Attitude Era to find this person, but who knows? You might surprise me. And then, of course, all time and
Right now.
current superstar. Yeah. So sit on that, think about that, and we are going to talk about pretty much everybody in between because I wrote a big list of things that we have to go over. And I think we have to start backtracking to Sunday. That was Backlash, where the greatest wrestling match of all time was wrestled. But we won't start with that. Let's go ladies first. Sasha and Bayley retained the tag team championships in what I thought was a really good match. Any thoughts? Anything come out of nowhere? Surprised?
No, it was a good match, like you said. I wasn't sure if they were going to retain or if they're going to throw them right back on Alexa and Nikki. I think it was the right move, having them retain and give them a little run here and keep that going. Like you said, it was a good match. It was fun.
I think being able to have Sasha and Bayley go to Raw and SmackDown, and tonight, it is 7:15. We're recording this on Wednesday night, so NXT hasn't happened yet. But I'm very excited to tune into NXT tonight because Sasha and Bayley will be on NXT defending the tag team championships. So that's really cool. I think having them on SmackDown and Raw regularly, and then of course NXT here and there, that can only help the brand.
Yep.
So I think that's good. I think that was the right call. We don't have to go into every match at Backlash, but overall, what would you give Backlash at 10? A thumbs up? I don't know. Just give me something. What did you think?
I think I was a little discouraged going into it when we were doing the review, the prediction show, and I was like, this is pretty predictable. And I think for the most part it was. The only swerve really being Sheamus beating Jeff was like, I didn't really see that coming. But no, the matches were all really well wrestled and really good. And I think the last match just kind of blew everyone away from what we were expecting. Mm-hmm. As a whole, I'd probably give it like a solid 7. Like
that's what I was thinking. About a 6.5 to a 7.5.
I really enjoyed it.
Anywhere in that range. Yeah, no, I thought it was a good show. And the thing is like I think everyone thinks that shows have to be like a 10. Like you're not gonna get a 10 every time. That's how you have like a serious drop. This is Backlash. This isn't WrestleMania. This isn't SummerSlam. Yeah. A 7 is great. That's what we want, right? We want a 7 from these minor pay-per-views. We want a Money in the Bank or an Elimination Chamber to be like an 8 or a 9. We want WrestleMania to be a 10. We want the Royal Rumble to be a 10. But these other shows, 7's fine. Like that's good. That's what we were looking for. And I thought we were entertained, especially towards the last match, which we will get into. But I want to go to a different match, which I thought if that last match didn't happen, that this match would have been match of the night, which is not something that I think I would have said going in. And that's Braun Strowman versus the Miz and Miz and Morrison. Hey, ho, ho. Great, excellent match. Morrison really shined in this match, in my opinion, as did Miz and Braun. Obviously, they're great. But I think John Morrison really showed you the talent that he has in this one. A lot of flips, a lot of great wrestling. So, yeah, I thought that was really cool.
I was
Right
surprised by
decision.
this match because I
Well,
wasn't that excited about it going in for this match because like the 2-on-1, it's like they're not going to win. But then early in the show, Kayla said the thing where only one of you could be champion. It was like right in your head, you're like, okay, so one of them is going to mess with the other. Something's going to happen. They teased it a little bit with the Miz. Like looked like they might have had Braun beat with the I don't know what you call that move. It was a skull crusher finale where Morrison jumped and like kicked
and then
him.
Morrison did the spinning leg drop. Yeah,
And it
that
was
was
cool.
pretty
That
cool.
was actually a really cool move. And then Miz pulls him off, and he's like, "Oh no!" And he tries to put him back on. It was too late. That was actually really good. I like that. But do you think they're gonna break up soon? What do you think's gonna happen?
I think. See, I'm so torn on this because I don't even know if I want them to break up. We were talking yesterday about the music videos,
Yeah,
and they're hysterical. And Miz is excellent at what he does. Morrison is excellent at what he does. They are great in the ring together. They're great, everywhere together. So I don't know if I necessarily want them to split up, but I do want to see Morrison get the singles push. And
yeah.
I honestly think that if Miz were to turn heel on Morrison, that Morrison would be great in a feud with AJ Styles. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that would be so cool. That's kind of like a WWE past versus a WWE present. I mean, they're both older guys, but
yeah.
they've been around the block. But I don't think we've necessarily seen the two of them really get into it. It's possible on TNA that they cross paths at one point in time, but not that I'm familiar with. I
Yeah,
think that would be such a cool match. And I really think AJ Styles being the Intercontinental Championship opens up so many loads of possibilities. I mean, you look at the list of names, the short list of names that are ready to challenge AJ Styles. You've got Matt Riddle, who's appearing on Friday Night SmackDown. Like I said, John Morrison. You could throw the Miz in there. Why not? Jeff Hardy, Sheamus. I'm sure there are others that I'm just completely blanking. Oh, Cesaro. I mean, and AJ Styles puts on a great match with everyone. And
yeah.
these are all talented wrestlers that could put on a great match with him. But we will get into AJ Styles later on in the show.
I've done like a full 180 on the tag team of Miz and Morrison. Like when Morrison first came back, and I was like, all right, this is really cool. I like Morrison a lot, and they put him with the Miz. I was like, okay, like that's kind of like underwhelming. Just put him in a tag team because tag team doesn't really get like the attention they deserve, type of thing. And he's probably better off as singles. But I think I've done a complete 180 now with the music videos and the comedy they do. I think it's like been amazing. It's really funny.
Miz is one of those rare workers that just sneaks up on you every single time, and you get surprised by him every single time, and for some reason you're still surprised by him. Like, it's 2020, he's been doing this for 10 years, and I'm still surprised. Like, he's so good at what he does. He wrestles good matches. Like, who knows, maybe that could be the answer to one of my questions later on. But I don't want to go too much into it, but yeah. Nia Jax and Asuka, weird finish, deciding not to give a definitive finish to Asuka in her first title defense. Listen, if this were 4 or 5 down the road and you wanted to do this, I could understand. But I think they missed the boat not giving Asuka the clean win or
What's
just
the
like, even
point?
if it was a roll up. She got it the next day on Raw. I
Yeah.
don't understand this decision. I don't think Nia Jax was super hurt by a loss. Someone's got to
What's the
lose.
point of protecting Nia Jackson that way?
Right.
There's no.
I understand, but she's clearly not getting the title anytime soon. She's not. I don't think she's the next champion. So I don't understand why she needs to be protected like this. But I mean, do you have anything to say on this, or is it?
No, I mean it was a really lackluster way to start Asuka's title reign, and now it kind of seems like she'll probably be doing something with Charlotte. That's the vibe I get, and either that's towards SummerSlam or maybe Shayna towards SummerSlam. But is Nia continuing? Like you said, she beat her on Raw. Like, do you think that's going to keep going now, or?
I don't honestly know what they're doing with the Raw Women's division. It's sad because they have a lot of talent, but honestly, I think it's the least interesting thing that was on the show on Sunday. And I think I didn't care yesterday when they wrestled again, which again, it's sad because they have so much talent when you talk about Asuka and Charlotte on that roster. But I mean, listen,
And
you
like,
could only make
what
somebody.
happened to Liv Morgan? I feel like Liv Morgan was like being put in this position to succeed. Then she started cutting these weird promos about like where she came from and how she overcame the odds and everything. And now she's taking losses in tag team matches in 20 seconds.
That was to set up a tag team between Natalia and Lana, which I'll let you go on later. I know. Listen, I said there's going to be a lot of praise today, but not all of it's going to be praise. And I'll let you really take care of that. I'm not even going to say anything.
It's just sometimes like I sit there, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we thinking here? Why would Liv take the loss here when Natalia could get pinned every week for the next 6 years? No one will look at her any differently. She's still Natalia.
Nobody would waver either way. She's got enough of a resume now. But we'll stick with Backlash just for now, and we will get to the main event. I don't think we really have to go over everything else. Everything else was pretty by the book. You mentioned Jeff Hardy and Sheamus really quickly. They're clearly continuing that rivalry as well as possibly adding somebody else to it. We're unsure.
I just wonder what more they can do. Like they threw the pea in his face and they did a hit and run angle. Like how much more could you like escalate this feud and rivalry to make you care more than they've already done?
Mm-hmm. I think I was ready. They've like built Jeff Hardy up like, oh, this one last run. So I was ready for this to be over and to him start to go maybe after a championship or a bigger fish than Sheamus. Not that Sheamus isn't a big fish, just that he's not holding a main title right
like
now.
Go to AJ or something, yeah.
So I was expecting that to happen. I think that I don't really know what to think about any of this. If this continues till SummerSlam, listen, we have Extreme Rules coming up. SummerSlam is a big show. We'll see what Jeff's doing on that show. Fine. You want to do one more with Sheamus, that's fine. But let's see what happens come SummerSlam time. I think that'll be more telling of how serious we're taking this one last run thing. Because, listen, to me, one last run should sound like Jeff's going for the Universal Championship. He's on SmackDown. Or if he gets traded to Raw, the WWE Championship. Like, one last run to me means one last real run for Jeff Hardy. He deserves it. The fans deserve it. Let's get it. But we got to get it into motion. I think he has 2 years left on his contract, though. So this could be a long one last run. So, or 2 years from WrestleMania. So now it's a little bit less. But, yeah. But Randy and Edge, you said it before. I agree with you. It was easily match of the night. They delivered. 100% they delivered. Sure. You could tell me it's not the greatest wrestling match of all time. I think every person you ask can have a different answer for what the greatest wrestling match of all time is.
Well, we talked about it like a lot over the last couple of days. The problem was the build, 100%.
Yeah.
Like the match was amazing, but when you just keep repeatedly saying this is the greatest wrestling match of all time before it happens, you're going to get the negative feedback and the people angry. Like you're just going to agitate people. And then the match delivered and way more than I expected, and it was amazing. But like you said, it was hurt so, like I said, it was hurt so much by the build.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. It was one of those matches that if they didn't say it was the greatest wrestling match of all time, people might have said it was the greatest wrestling match of all time afterward. But either way, I don't care about that now. All I care about was we saw a hell of a match. Both men, obviously, Edge got hurt during the match. He put himself out there to try and succeed as best as he can. Randy was excellent in that match. I thought Randy was as good as we've ever seen Randy Orton. Randy Orton's another guy where no matter what happens, like, you know about the RKO and it's tons of fun, but you just forget how good he is. And he tells a story almost better than anybody in the current WWE tells a story when they're wrestling. And the looks on his face, he's vindicious, right? Is that the word that I'm looking for? Vindictive? That's
vindictive, yeah.
Vindictive, thank you. And he just goes after like his opponent, and it makes you believe that he really wants to hurt this person.
Yeah.
And I believe the whole time he wanted to put Edge out. He wanted to send him home, and he wanted to write the last chapter in the story of Edge in the WWE.
And he's so good.
He's a great job, amazing job. And then obviously, I think a lot of people, or some people, not a lot of people, might say that the finishers, when they were going back and forth with the finishers of other superstars, was corny. I absolutely loved it. I thought that was the best part of the match. The pedigree was awesome. I thought we were going to see a figure four leg lock, maybe an AA or a super kick.
That's my only beef. Awesome. Or like these two men were so intertwined with John Cena. Like, how does no one flatten AA? Like that's like I feel that just had to happen. It just didn't.
And no one threw an AA out there. I was hoping to see someone tune up the band too. I know you were too when we were watching. But either way, the kill switch, I thought that was so cool when Christian brought out the kill switch. Randy looked up to the sky for Eddie Guerrero before he hit the Three Amigos. All done so well. And I really don't think there's anything else that has to be said on this one. I think I was going from what this match did to me was me saying, I don't want more Randy versus Edge. And now I know that there's going to be a grudge match. Hopefully that Edge, gets fully healthy in a few months. I'm all for it. Give me the grudge match. Let's see how the story ends. And then let's move them on to different things because let's be honest, we can't do this forever, but I'm good with one more. And I think that match changed my mind because I don't think I wanted it. And now I think I'm like, okay, let's do it one more time.
Yeah, I think that was always the plan to have the third match. Hopefully Edge isn't out too long and they can put on a good match again.
Yeah.
That's the other thing now where when you have the second one hyped up as the greatest match ever, how are they going to hype up and build the third one type of thing?
Listen, the third one, I think, is going to be equally as spectacular. I think we have to give them the benefit of the doubt at this point.
No, I know. I'm saying, but they might have shot themselves in the foot with the build. Like,
It's like, wait,
calling
we've
it the
already
greatest
seen the
match
greatest
ever.
wrestling match of all
Yeah,
time.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're going to have to get creative. But anything else you want to touch on Backlash? Anything we really didn't cover? I think everything else was pretty much by the book, like you said. It was a good show, great wrestling.
And
but
just in the last match, I love that Randy ended with a punt. I thought that was a great finish.
Yeah, that was awesome. We were calling for that in the preview show, and we got what we wanted twice, which is a perfect segue to Monday Night Raw. And the appearance of Christian, who I don't really count this as him wrestling a match. You know, like it was clearly like he just took a kick to the face and a low blow from the dirtiest player in the game, Ric Flair. How do we feel about Christian coming back? Is this something you necessarily wanted, or is this just kind of like out of nowhere for you?
I'm like kind of indifferent on Christian. I didn't like dislike him or like him. I feel like during his like run, I love his music. He has great theme music, but
I love his finisher too. The kill switch.
Kill switch is great too.
Which is not called the kill switch anymore.
Which the Unprettier now.
The Unprettier now, yeah.
I think it was its original name, and then maybe when they went to PG, they can't call it kill anymore. That's probably the problem there. But no, it's always fun, I feel like, to see guys like him where he's still like in wrestling shape. Like he still looks good as opposed to guys like who are like 60 and shouldn't be doing this anymore. So I think that's fun. I heard that Booker T was saying he thinks he's going to wrestle again, like legitimately, like maybe at Extreme Rules, which I don't know if they'd bring him back for Extreme Rules. Randy just punted him. I feel like they kind of want to sell that more and have him out longer. But no, that'd be fun if Christian fought Randy at Extreme Rules. I'd be in for that.
Yeah. I think, like I said, one more match with Randy Orton. Obviously, we've seen what Randy can do. We know Christian's a good wrestler, so I no complaints here.
But
I
why
like
Ric Flair?
Well, that to me, that's what I was literally just about to say. What? Okay, sure, fine, whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and tear it apart. They needed somebody to like low blow him, so this wasn't a real contest, and Christian could get in wrestling shape and eventually really face Randy Orton. Just kind of set up the feud. I get it, but you're also right. Why Ric Flair? But again, I'm not going to pick it apart. I don't care.
It was just random. I'm not mad at it. It was just like, okay,
They were arguing the week before about the match that was coming up. So, like, I guess it was like a whole thing. But you're right. Like, there was no connection really between the two of them during their careers. So it was weird, but it is what it is. I want to move on to something that I think is interesting, or probably one of the more interesting things going on, and that is the apparent stable that they are trying to build around MVP as the manager. I think that they are doing a great job with MVP as this like cerebral, like real-time manager, where I was like, at first initially I thought it was going to be a joke, like a Leo Rush thing, where like he's with Bobby Lashley and picking him. But no, MVP is like a serious like manager right now, like a Paul Heyman style manager. And he's trying to build this stable. And you could see you've got Bobby Lashley. He's now in the ear of Apollo Crews, whether or not they're going to fully turn Apollo Crews heel. We saw little bits of it with the roll up and the grabbing the tights and everything. And his opponent that night was Shelton Benjamin. We know Shelton can wrestle. We haven't seen it in a while, but we know that it's true. How are you feeling about this stable? Do you think that this is good or?
No, it's been pretty good. I think he's done a good job helping Lashley become credible. Like I was saying a couple of weeks ago, where I'm not really believing that Lashley can go from just fighting Elias and all these mid-carders to the title. I know he looks amazing and he's a good wrestler, but just in terms of like credibility and like his where I view him, where I look at him, I just don't see it. But no, he's helped a lot. On Sunday, he distracted McIntyre and Lashley was able to attack him before the match. That was really good storytelling that worked. And then there was more, and I think it's cool too. He's kind of like been tag teaming with him a little bit, and he's been wrestling MVP. So no, it's good. Do you really think it's been like that good though? Like you really enjoyed it that much?
I'm enjoying the seeds that are being planted. I think the question is how far is this going to go? So my initial thought was this is good. This 3-man stable would be good, but I think they need a tag team too, honestly. And I don't know if they're looking for this to just be a stable with just African American superstars. I don't know if that's like the plan, or if it's just open to everybody and this is just sort of a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the former. It seems like that's what they're going with, which I think is cool. The Nation of Domination in the 90s worked so well with The Rock and Mark Henry and that group of guys. I think that especially in today's like climate. Like that could be a really powerful thing. I don't love the fact that they're making them heels. I think that they would be better as faces. Or I mean, like Apollo Crews. I just can't see Apollo Crews as a heel right now. So they're gonna have to really convince me on somebody like that. I thought Shelton Benjamin was a great babyface, and Bobby Lashley was an excellent babyface back in the day. So it's weird that they're making them heels, but they're heels now. Like there's no going back from that. Like they're all heels now. So my question is, I think the Street Profits would fit in perfectly with this, especially because I think Monday they should lose the titles, and MVP should verbally berate them. Like, you guys are a joke. Look at the things that you've been running. You played mini golf with Vikings. Like he could tear them down and build them back up into this mean, like serious tag team. And I think that would be so good for the Profits, and I think that would be so good for the stable if Bobby had a legitimate tag team behind him with Apollo Crews, the United States champion, and sort of like a J&J security guy in Shelton Benjamin and MVP. I think they would be such a powerful group that this could really be something good. And I also love that there are two stables forming here in terms of you've got Seth Rollins' stable going strong, and they could always add to that. And you've got now this stable going. And yes, they're both heels, but I think some of the best wrestling stories we see are when two stables feud with each other. And I think you get like really good matches, especially when championships are involved. So that could be something to look at, not obviously right now, but way further down the line. I think all of it could be really positive. And I think it makes everybody in the stable more relevant too. Like Shelton Benjamin goes from, we see him on TV once a month, wrestle a match, lose, sometimes win to get a guy frustrated or something like that, to now we're going to see him every week. And yeah, he's only going to be a lackey, but at least he's there. At least we're seeing his face. He's going to win matches because he's in this stable. Like, I think it's just good for everyone. I don't know how you feel about that.
I was going to ask you, but you kind of answered it yourself. Do you think too many stables is like a problem? Because there's a lot of stables now. You have Zelina Vega also with Seth Rollins, and now MVP. Now that there's three very focal main point stables in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Zelina Vega's stable is not really stable anymore. She's just managing two superstars. You know what I mean? Like, I think you need three, like three superstars. Like, I'm not even trying to like just like pick it apart, but I'm just saying, like, I think it needs to be three. Like at that point, like Andrade and like, yeah, they can like be friends and like team up on somebody, but I don't really consider that like a full blown stable right now. If that makes sense. Like,
gotcha.
I think of that as more of just she's managing both of them right now, and possibly if they want to throw them into the tag team championship like conversation, if they could like get on the same page. Though I think Andrade is better than that, and Vince sees Angel Garza as better than that, as we read the other day. A young Eddie Guerrero, which is a very shining compliment. Let's see if he lives up to that hype.
High praise.
But yeah, I don't think that I consider them a stable. And yeah, I think too many would be a problem, to answer your question. But I think that if Seth Rollins has done a great job as a leader, and MVP looks clearly like he's got what it takes to be the real leader of this group. The way he's gotten to Bobby, you said he's elevated Bobby Lashley. There's no question about it. He's elevated Bobby Lashley.
Yep.
And the way the Lana thing was ridiculous to me the whole time. You kept saying, like, why is Lana involved in this? Like, why is she still here? But the way he took Bobby Lashley, who's supposed to be Lana's husband, and just threw him past her, I thought that was like, okay, like he's really in Bobby's head. He's really got control. Like, I thought that was like really good, and I'm almost glad they kept Lana around just for that point right there. So yeah, point. I don't know. Anybody else that you could see maybe being added to that stable, or even since we're on the Monday Night Messiah, anybody you want to see added to that stable as well? Like, can you see a real name joining?
I don't. I like what you were saying a little bit, where if like the Street Profits drop the belts and it's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Wake up, type of thing. But I think they're too silly and goofy and funny to ever be like heels. At least not.
Well, that is what you just said about not that they were silly and goofy, but that is kind of what we were saying about Bobby Lashley before, right? Like, we weren't taking him seriously enough. And then we got him MVP.
It's like a different silly. They have like the red Solo Cup and they're dancing around. Like, it's not. I don't know. And until like they eventually break up, one of them turns heel. Probably the big one. I don't think it's gonna work.
That would be Dawkins.
And Ford, Montez Ford.
I think it's taken a step further too. If you wanted to get Bianca Belair, who we have not seen on Raw, and really be tag team division women's division, main card, mid card, like have literally control over the show. I really think that they could run with that stable, and I really think that it would be it would be cool. But we'll see. That remains to be seen what they're planning on doing with that.
They have Shayna Baszler, Ruby Riott, and Bianca Belair just doing nothing.
Nothing.
That's
Nothing.
Crazy.
Liv Morgan too. She was doing something, and now she's
on
doing nothing.
TV. That's like the one saving grace.
That is tough. So that's actually a good transition though to what's next for Asuka. Is it more Nia Jax? I don't think we got Charlotte yet. I think they're going to keep Charlotte away from Asuka for a little while.
The finish was
although it seems like they were planting
right?
the seeds, But
yeah, was the finish on Raw was definitive, right? She just pinned her straight up.
She just rolled her up, but yeah, I mean it was a 1, 2, 3.
So is Nia going to come back next week all mad and say that she didn't win the right way? And
I don't know. I have no interest left in an Asuka Nia feud. I think they've already killed it, unfortunately. If they would have ended it with like Nia, like Samoan dropping Asuka through a table, and that was the double count out, like that would have been something. But it was like just a regular like count. It was so weird. I don't know. What do you think? If you had to guess what's next for Asuka, what would you say? We don't have to spend too much time. You know what I mean? Like, we don't.
I'll say a triple threat match at Extreme Rules with Nia Jax and Charlotte.
I think that's worst case scenario. Honestly, I really do.
That's worst case scenario.
Yeah, I think that's worst case scenario. Except with the exception of just another singles match with Nia, that's technically worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's worse.
I just think that they should just keep Charlotte away for a little while. Just keep her away, and then
they won't.
September, October, we could bring her back. But Vince is like obsessed; he can't keep her away from the title. So, all right, let's move on from that. Randy Orton in the short term doesn't have anyone to fight. We said maybe Christian. Do you think that's where he goes next? Do you think that's the logical next step, or do you think maybe
he's really adopting the Legend Killer thing again, where they have the big. I think next time he's going to destroy the Big Show. The Big Show's going to get punted in the head next week, and he's going to keep doing. They're going to keep bringing guys back for him to just put down, and then the eventual edge.
Okay.
It's been really good. I liked it.
I'd like to see Randy interact with the non-legend portion of the main roster, the non-Hall of Famers of the main roster. Hopefully, sometime
he will.
Because I think that he could tell stories with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. I honestly, that's honestly a match I want to see too. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. I think that would be a lot of fun, very cool. And Randy's one of those heels that can push McIntyre. I think McIntyre's just been elevated every single pay-per-view. Starting at WrestleMania, he has grown into his character. And I think Randy could bring him to that next level of growing into that character. So that way, when he eventually does lose the WWE Championship, he could still be held in high regard, like that kind of thing. Like, we're close to that now. I think Randy could really push him over the edge and make him one of those superstars. But they're also not going to have Randy lose. They're going to have him look strong as much as they can. So that's not something that I know they're going to do now. But I just hope that we do see it eventually. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Raw. I mean, do you have anything to say on the match next week between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits? Like, is there someone you want to win? I know you don't enjoy those segments at all. I thought like it was funny. It was like a little comedy here and there. But it's also the tag team champions. Like, I wish they would take it a little bit more seriously. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, any thoughts whatsoever?
I expect the match to not have a finish. I expect it to be a good match for 15, 20 minutes, and then the giant ninjas come out and nothing happens. It's over. And they have to all work together to beat the big final boss ninja. And I don't know. I don't know how they're getting away with this also. Like, Akira Tozawa does not seem like a good move doing this, with giving everything that's going on right now, but,
Yeah, I mean, it's playful. It's all in good fun, I guess.
Just, there's a stereotype that they're blatantly exploiting.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think ninja's technically like a terrible stereotype. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like.
No, I think it's just like the Japanese Asian like stereotype type of thing.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying, but I also think that that's something that those cultures take pride in, like martial arts and stuff like that. So who knows? I'm sure they asked Akira Tozawa, like, "Hey, like, you cool with this?" And he was probably like, "Yeah, that sounds funny. That sounds fun." Like,
he's been on TV.
But I get where you're coming from, 100%. I get where you're coming from. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought of it. I'll tell you that.
It's just not a big deal to me. Like, nothing they really do right now. Like, they're both really good tag teams, and they're just kind of making a joke of the whole thing. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we got here?
We got the Fiend showing up on Friday. I'm excited
Oh,
about that.
Seth Rollins. That's what I'm sorry. We got to go back to Raw one more time because we got to talk about Seth Rollins. Just Seth Rollins. Dominic really getting one over on Seth Rollins. How do you feel about that?
I was kind of sitting there watching it like, all right, they're going to beat him up in front of Ray. Like, Dominic will get the first kick in, but no, he kind of just took out all three of them, which was really weird. Are we getting Dominic versus Seth? Is this?
I was gonna ask, where are we going with this? What is the
Oh,
eventual?
I know Dominic's like trained. He's been training with Ray. He's been training at the Performance Center. So like he's a wrestler. But do we really want to see him fight Seth Rollins? Like how does?
I feel like Seth is being underutilized in the storyline, and that's tough to say with like a guaranteed WWE Hall of Famer like Rey Mysterio. But this is just not. This is not what I expect the Monday Night Messiah to be doing. It's a start. I hope they give him something better until the like from the end. You know what I mean? Like after this, he can't challenge for the championship again yet. But like I just thought like he would be doing something different. I don't know. It's a very strange thing that's happening.
I thought the Ray stuff was really good. If they were like writing Ray off TV and that's how they did it, like that'd be like a really good boost for Seth. But they wrote him off for like a week, and then he came back, and it turned into like a funky retirement thing, which wasn't real. And now it's turning more focused toward his son than Ray, and it kind of just went in a weird direction.
I'll tell you what. Seth Rollins better win this feud. Like whatever happens, Seth Rollins better win this feud. It better be a definitive 1-2-3 over Rey Mysterio or Dominic, whoever he's fighting.
It doesn't
I
feel like
just
that's going to happen right now.
So strange. It really is. But hey, listen, if this is the way they want to write Dominic on the show, I guess a win over Seth Rollins would be a way to legitimize him. So
Some debut.
all right, well, let's head over to the A show, SmackDown, and let's start and talk about AJ Styles. I had mentioned it before in the show, but AJ Styles is once again the champ that runs the camp. Not really, but he is the Intercontinental Champion. What do you see for AJ Styles going forward? Who's the logical next feud? He's going to throw, I believe that he was on Backlash, and he was saying that he was throwing a party. He was coming out that he should have taken Friday off, but instead this Friday he's going to throw a party for himself. Who's crashing the party? I guess that's my question.
Is Daniel Bryan done? Is he off TV now for a little bit?
Brie Bella is pregnant. I don't know when she's expecting, but that would be interesting if he were done. He could come back. Guns a-blazing around Survivor Series for Team SmackDown. That would be cool. But
it could have been.
I'm not sure.
Could have been a great opportunity for Jeff if Jeff won a Backlash and then came out to crash his party. I mean, you got Sami Zayn, who feels like he's looming. He's going to come back at some point and want that title back. Maybe Miz and or Morrison. Like that could work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have like a definitive like, oh, I really think this is going to happen. There's a lot of different ways it can go.
I think Matt Riddle crashes the party Friday. Whether or not they keep that as the main feud for him going forward, or if that's just like a one-off thing. Maybe he gets AJ into a non-title match and he gets one over on him. I think that would be a good way to enter, but maybe not continues that feud. But I don't really know. I think that's the beauty of AJ Styles, though, right? They could literally throw anybody at him. They could throw me and you at him, and we would wrestle a 5-star match because that's what AJ Styles does at this point in his career. So
yeah, the only problem with Matt Riddle, like I know you were saying, like like non-title, like AJ's not going to drop the belt, like in his first feud. So like you want to give Matt Riddle the win,
right? So yeah, I don't know what the plan would be for a feud long term between the two of them, but I don't know. All I know is whoever it is, it's going to be entertaining. So we've got Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. It feels like that's looming again, right? It feels like we're going to get the Fiend this time, not Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
But also that feels like a SummerSlam match. So my question is, do you think that there will be a placeholder again, possibly more Miz and Morrison? Probably not, right? Can't see Miz and Morrison continuing this. That feels like a one-off thing. Anybody that might come in for the short term, just have a nice quick match. I shudder saying it, but we haven't seen King Corbin on TV for a second. Actually, he was on Friday. But
He's
that
doing
feels like it could
promoted
be
stuff.
that feels like it could be like a one-off Extreme Rules thing. We'll put him through a table. The fans will go nuts, and
I could so see the Fiend beating beating Braun at Extreme Rules, and then Roman beating the Fiend at SummerSlam.
at SummerSlam.
I could like so see that happening.
It's funny because I don't think either of us have heard a single rumor, read a single report that Roman Reigns is on his way back. But we know that when he gets back, like, it's going to be full throttle. The big dog is back. And whoever you think is well protected, the big dog's coming. You know, he's coming for his yard back.
I get what you're saying, how that feels more like a big match, the Fiend versus Braun in the rematch. And that's probably.
I would love to see a triple threat. Listen, hear me out, right? We've seen Braun versus Bray. We've seen Bray versus Roman. We've seen Roman versus Braun. Put all three of them in a match. Give me like a Hell in a Cell or something like that. Put the Fiend in there. He doesn't have to be pinned if you want to put the belt on Roman. Braun could look really strong if he beat both of them. You know what I mean? Like any possibility they could. There are three ways they could go. All three men have proven that they can run with the belt. I think that would be really entertaining. And I think Braun should enter SummerSlam as the Universal Championship too. I really think that Braun deserves at least a WrestleMania to SummerSlam. And then if they want to drop it there, that's a good that's probably like 4 or 5 months, right? So I think that would be good for Braun. I hope they wind up keeping.
No, I think they've done everything they could with Braun. Obviously, he was doing little to nothing. He was kind of doing some Intercontinental Championship stuff, and then Roman said no, so they threw him right into the fire and gave him the belt, and he's had a decent run with it.
Yeah, no, I think it's been entertaining. We were very excited for the Bray Wyatt match. We weren't excited for the Miz and Morrison, and they winded up putting on a good match. And he's just as much to credit as anybody else for that. So hats off. I thought both of the titles after WrestleMania were in a poor state, and I couldn't have been more wrong. I don't think. I think both champions have proven me wrong, and I'm happy. I like both of those guys. So. We talked about Miz and Morrison before, so we don't have to go back to them. Bayley is somebody I want to touch on now. Not Sasha Banks and Bayley. I just want to touch on Bayley.
Okay.
Do we see her defending the SmackDown Women's Championship? Like anytime soon? Like when does that come for her again? It's almost like they forgot. Like she just comes out with that belt, and like everyone forgot that she has it. It's like, oh, I got to find a partner and challenge Sasha Banks and Bayley for tag team champions. I don't want the solo women's title like right now, right? It's almost feel like it's afterthought.
I got you.
It's so weird.
They already did Lacey Evans. They could do Sonya Deville.
Mandy is another person on that roster. We haven't heard from Carmella. If they want to just transition,
she might just only do the tag team stuff until they break up, and then it's Sasha. Probably what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't anticipate her losing that belt. But just the fact that it's like not even being mentioned that she has it, it's almost like the women's tag team championships were for so long, where they defended them like twice in like a 4-month span. Like we don't want to turn the SmackDown Women's Championship into that. I feel like there should be more women stepping up, saying like, "Hey, like Bayley, you've got 2 responsibilities." They should make her wrestle twice on one of these cards for sure. But
I'll probably have like Dana Brooke do that. Like, hey, you should really defend that thing against me tonight. Something stupid.
Hey, listen, anybody that can go out there and put on a good match, I'm willing to give them a shot. So if it's Dana Brooke, if it's Carmella, if it's Naomi, you know. We talked about Daniel Bryan possibly going away, possibly staying. If he does stay and it's not with AJ Styles, DB is a big part of SmackDown. Do you think maybe possibly he could be a filler for Braun Strowman in a main event role if it's not the Fiend?
That could work if they want to like hot shot a feud with the two of them and just give them like a month of some stuff back and forth. Yeah, no, I guess I could. I don't really see it. I feel like he's probably gone, right? I feel like he's probably off TV.
It would just have to be anybody random like a King Corbin or a Daniel Bryan would just have to be like okay, we're going to have a fatal 4-way match between these 4 guys and the winner is the number 1 contender at Extreme Rules. Like it'd have to be something like that. But like, and then like we could tease the Fiend a bunch and not have it be the Fiend. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
it doesn't have to be the Fiend now. I think the Fiend should be involved in SummerSlam. I think maybe Braun should down one more opponent before we take the belt off of him completely. That's why I asked. Like I think Daniel Bryan would be great. I think it would elevate him. I think that would be a very enticing match to see because of the sheer size difference between the two men. yeah, I don't know. That's just an idea, but yeah. Do you see DB going anywhere else? Like I said, if he's not leaving, if he's not off TV, what do you see him doing?
If he's not leaving, he can do something with Cesaro and Nakamura like he's been doing. That kind of stuff. It's always good. He has Drew Gulak. He has that stuff to do. I don't know. Like, I have a feeling he's gone. I have a feeling there was a send off with AJ on Friday, and now he's going to take a couple months away to be with Bree and his newborn.
I think that question will be answered. I know AJ Styles did mention his name in his promotion at Backlash, saying that I hope he'll be watching on Friday night. So maybe he'll be watching from his couch at home in I believe it's Seattle. But yeah. And if not, then we welcome more Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. So I think that about sums it up. The only other question we have is we just want to comment on the Jeff Hardy and Sheamus thing one more time. Michael Cole has been instructed to say red hair, red beard was the attacker from the police skit, the drunk driving skit on Friday night a few weeks ago. If that happens to be Sami Zayn, is that a feud that you're interested in? You know, red hair, red beard. Is that I feel like Sami should go after his never lost Intercontinental Championship. I feel like that's the logical step for him.
It's more of what you talked about earlier, where with Jeff Hardy, we want to see him go for a title. We want to see him be in a prominent role, and taking nothing away from Sheamus or Sami Zayn, but that's not what we want to see in Jeff Hardy's last run right now.
Right. If Sami Zayn was still the Intercontinental Championship and he was the one who decided to run over Elias, then yeah, we would be gung-ho for that, right? We would be all for it. Sami Zayn, I think very highly of Sami Zayn. I also think he's a way better face than he is heel, and something's got to give. This man needs to be turned back. But
I think my favorite part about the hit and run thing was when Jeff Hardy's he's all disoriented. He's being carried into the police officer. He sees Elias. He just yells, Elias! He's yelling 3 times. It was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. But
yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully Sami goes after AJ and not Jeff Hardy, but who knows?
Yeah. All right. So, going back to the beginning of the show, have you thought any more of the questions that I asked?
I think I have one guy for both.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think it's Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler.
I feel like he is so consistent, and he's so credible too, where you can really just throw him in any situation. He could be off TV for X amount of time, come back in and have a U.S. Intercontinental Championship match that night, or throw him in a championship battle royal where the winner faces a champion. And it's Dolph could potentially win this match, and he's been doing it for so long. He started off in the Spirit Squad as a joke, and he really turned himself into something crazy. Where I think his high point, he had some nice high points like Money in the Bank when he cashed in on Del Rio. That was huge. His high point for me was the team scene of his Team Authority when he beat Seth Rollins, and he had that crazy showing when he took out 3 guys at the very end. That was awesome. I loved every second of that. But no, I think Dolph Ziggler is the most underrated wrestler.
Okay. So for the current superstars, I was thinking 2 wrestlers. Okay. Number 1, The Miz, who I was talking about earlier. Number 2 would be Big E.
Good one.
I think Big E, they use him in so many different spots. He's a powerhouse. He moves around well. He wrestles a great match. He could be a tag team. He could be a singles competitor. I think currently, right now, he's so underutilized. About The Miz, I mentioned that before, how he just kind of sneaks up on you every single time. You're not really expecting The Miz, but every time he's just oh, that was funny, or that was great. We mentioned every single skit that he's done, every single making fun of somebody. Some of the John Cena and Nikki Bella stuff with him and Maurice is some of the funniest moments. So entertaining. He wrestles well too. The stuff that he did with Daniel Bryan was so good. Do you remember that stuff with
for sure. It was very funny. Yep.
I love The Miz. I think he's great. I love Big E. I love the New Day. I think they're great.
Can you call Big E under? He's a really good wrestler, but the stuff you were saying where the New Day are so prominent, I feel like they're always a really important part of the card, and they always have a tag. He's a 9-time tag champion or something like that. He's pretty important.
Originally, when I was thinking underrated, my first thought was Kofi Kingston. And then I'm like, it's not anymore, though. He got a legitimate title run last year.
Mania, yeah.
But I was like, but E can do the same. Well, not the same things that Kofi can do, but E could do that too. You know what I mean? Like I think he's that talented. Yeah, you're right. He's not underutilized for sure, but I still think that people would maybe not think of him in like the same class as possibly like a Kofi Kingston, but I think he is. And it's the same thing with The Miz.
Do you think he'll ever be the world champion, Big E?
That's such a hard question.
What do you think?
I definitely see an avenue where he could get there, but if I'm flipping it, it's a coin flip. I really think it's 50-50, but if I had to guess, I'd probably say no. But I hope he does get there because I really enjoy him.
I don't see them ever breaking up. I don't see the New Day ever ending.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when the New Day are over, that's probably the end of that's probably Kofi's end. I know he stated that multiple times before. He's had a nice long career. He's ready to hang it up, go home, be with the kids whenever that day comes, and that could come 10 years down the line. But with E, I mean, he's talented. He could definitely get by on his own in a singles run. He's jacked. I mean, if you look at him, you know that no one. I believe he could beat up Braun Strowman. You know what I mean? Like you believe it, like. Yeah. So I hope for him. I hope he does get the recognition and the due. But you're right. He's not underutilized. I just feel like he's underrated. As for my most underrated superstar of all time, is it bad that I'm thinking about going with a Hall of Famer for this?
Who is it?
Dave Bautista.
I don't think that works.
Okay, so hear me out. Dave came up in a time with Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Randy Orton.
Yep.
Okay? He was a very prominent superstar in times where Triple H and Shawn Michaels were still going. The Undertaker was still going. He saw the beginning of Eddie Guerrero. He had Rey Mysterio going on. Like I said, John Cena, Randy Orton taking off. I mean, the guy he worked with everyone. And he worked great with everybody.
Yeah, too. But when he came up with those guys, he was thrown right into Evolution.
Again, not underutilized. Absolutely not. He's gotten his world title runs. He's been prominent in main events. He's had great
multiple
with great people.
Title runs.
But I'm just saying that when push comes to shove, I feel like you will look back at that era and you'll say, oh, John Cena. Oh, Triple H. Shawn Michaels. Undertaker. Randy Orton. And then you'll go down the list, and then 10 guys later, Batista will be there, when in reality, in that era, for that span of time, he was right with those guys. He was as prominent as all of them.
When I think SmackDown, I think Undertaker, Batista, Rey Mysterio, Edge. Like, those are like the four guys that come to mind.
Edge, that's the other one. I knew I was missing somebody. But
like,
yeah.
I think that was the peak of my childhood when I was watching. So maybe to other people he might be underrated. To me, like, I feel like he was very important.
Yeah, no, 100% he was important. I'm just saying that I don't think people will hold him in the same regard. Again, for that time, he had a shorter career than the rest of those guys.
Yeah.
He was kind of, you know, except for, I mean, even Edge was around like a lot longer than he was in the beginning. So I think that's probably why he won't be held in the regard. But I think he deserves to be. I think he's put on a lot of matches, a lot of good matches. And he was so big. He's so strong. He moved around so well. And I think that's something we haven't seen, like guys like Lashley do it, but like Dave did it for so long. I don't know. I'm just babbling on now, but I think Batista deserves all the credit that he gets, and even more than he should be getting.
I can't believe you went with a Hall of Famer for the most underrated wrestler of all time.
Well, I like the Dolph Ziggler pick, but I honestly think Dolph Ziggler is going to be a Hall of Famer too one day. I mean,
he will.
That's what I'm saying. He's been with this company for so long now. There's no way they're going to keep him out. And he's
right.
One of the great Intercontinental Championships of all time at this point.
I feel like he is viewed as a really good mid-carder.
Dolph Ziggler?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. But that's like a Rick Rude, or I mean, like Randy Savage had his World Championship runs, but for most part he was like a mid-carder, just guys that you need for sure on the brand to carry the day-to-day. Yeah, Dolph was great, but I was gonna hit you with Baron Corbin no, I'm kidding. But I know you would have killed me for that. So
I was trying to. I couldn't think of anyone else really that like stood out, because of all time is hard. Because you know, like on like the quick question, because you don't think of the underrated guys. I feel like all the great guys come to mind. It's like I almost said Zach Ryder, but I didn't. Would have been funny.
If you want to talk about underutilized, the other guy I almost said was CM Punk, but then I'm like, no.
I would have destroyed you.
If everyone is clamoring to get him back as much as they are, then clearly he's not underappreciated. You know what I mean? Like, clearly he's not underrated.
The man who calls himself the best in the world is the most underrated.
Yeah, you can look. I'm the best. I'm the best in the world at podcasts. See, I can call myself that, but like
you back it up.
He does. But I'm saying, does everyone understand? Like, I don't know if people understand like what he did like in such a short amount of time, or well, I mean, he did hold the championship for the longest amount of time in the modern era. But yeah, I'm very confused as to what's next for CM Punk, and I hope we see him back. But I was thinking to myself, listen, if everyone's sitting here and clamoring for him to get back, they want him back in the ring so bad, and it's everybody we see, it's all the writers, all of the fellow superstars, everybody wants to see CM Punk back in the ring. He can't be underrated. Obviously, people know his worth, Yeah. So that's why I eventually was like, no, that's not right. So I went with Dave instead. I'm sure that older wrestling fans would have different answers than us. I'm sure that we would hear like a Marty Jannetty from somebody like that. Yeah. But I guess we don't have that knowledge. We're not as old, so we don't have that the knowledge that spans into the 90s, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to touch on today? Anything on the current WWE?
No, I think we covered it all. I'm mostly excited to see what's next with The Fiend on Friday. I think that's what's getting me to SmackDown, what I'm thinking about. And it's pretty much all. And Matt Riddle, too. We're excited. It'll be good.
We got Matt Riddle and the Firefly Funhouse. Yeah, so that's two things to look forward to. So I think that's going to do it for us. Imagine if I hit you with a John Cena was the most underrated WWE superstar of all time with my Never Give Up background. If that was this was the setup.
That'd be great.
Anyway, that's going to do it for us. If you enjoyed today, be sure to like and subscribe. Comment on who you think the most underrated WWE superstar is today and of all time. And if it's the same person like Mark, that's cool too. And we'll be coming back at you soon. I know I keep saying it, but it looks like baseball's coming close. Maybe I don't want to jinx it. Who knows? See. Yeah, as you can see, Mark's picture in his room. He's very excited to hopefully watch some baseball this season. The NBA is guaranteed coming back now. Players have until June 24th to let teams know if they're not coming into work, which can't judge anyone for not coming in, but hopefully that everyone does decide to report and we get a good NBA. So hopefully we'll be doing something on those sports very soon. The proposed baseball is July 19th. The NBA would take place sometime in early August. So we're already more than halfway through June. So hopefully soon, Mark. I'm hoping. But anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in.